So this one is about a mommy makeover nightmare. So I was flipping through articles, and this was on Newsweek. It's from a influencer named Ebonie Bolden. She is mostly on TikTok, and if you want to look her up, it's at @thee.ebony, EBONIEB, Ebonie B. And so she wrote this article, and it ended up in Newsweek, and it was talking about how the title of it was, "I had a mommy makeover and I'll never have cosmetic surgery again." And of course I had to look at this because I do a lot of mommy makeovers. In fact, every Monday is my mommy makeover day. And, in general, across the board, all these patients are really happy. I mean, it's a good experience. And so I was really curious, what happened to her that she had this horrible experience, and I felt bad for her, so I wanted to read about it. So I'm going to kind of go through it, and Sarah, I know you already know what happened, near Sarah, not far Sarah. The story is probably going to sound pretty familiar to you because we've had similar stories before. So the first thing that she started talking about is how cheap that the surgery could be obtained for, which is a little bit of a warning. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh man, this is already going down a bad pathway, because there are ways to get plastic surgery very cheap. And unfortunately, as we have talked about in story after story after story here on the show in the past year, a lot of times when corners are cut like that on cost, it results in bad outcomes.
Yeah.
And so she was talking about how she got a deal to go to a clinic in Miami, Florida, and get a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation for $6,000, which that's pretty cheap.
That's usually how much
So for where I'm at, and I'm not even in downtown Dallas, which here would be much more expensive. Where I'm at, tummy tuck and breast aug, there's some variables, but you're probably looking at 10 to 12,000. Now, that all being said, because she had to travel, she had to rent a car for 10 days, and she had to get an Airbnb for 10 days. So, I had to figure that was a couple or 3,000. So immediately I'm like, holy crap, she's already kind of getting close to the point where she could have had the surgery done nearby. And so she went to what I call plastic surgery patient mills. Do you know, Sarah, have you ever heard of a plastic surgery patient mill?
No, I haven't. Okay. Tell me more.
I'm going to educate you on this. These are important. So what these are is so when somebody wants to come for me for plastic surgery, they generally will look up plastic surgeons in Denton, which is the town my office is, or maybe look me up by name. And I'm what you're looking up, okay? A plastic surgery mill is a corporation that buys a surgery center, and then they basically get plastic surgeons as contractors. And generally that's people who might be fresh out of training, or they just haven't built a practice. And so the patients are being evaluated by nurses or medical assistants online for what surgery they want to have done. Yeah. Surgery is scheduled. They show up to the place and they meet the surgeon literally before they have the surgery, and they may not see the surgeon ever again. And so we've talked about these on the show before because so many bad outcomes come up from these type of things. And it's all related to multiple factors, things like, traveling for surgery and then going home before you're completely recovered, or not having a good doctor-patient relationship. That's just critical to having good outcomes in plastic surgery is patient and doctor talk and determine exactly what they want done.
The key to any relationship.
That's right.
Communication.
Exactly, communication, so important. So she went to this place. She arrived at 4 a.m. Her surgery didn't happen until 7 p.m. that night, which means that they were doing surgeries at 8, 9. A mommy makeover, even if you have 2 people doing it, is a minimum 5 or 6 hours. I usually take about 6 or 7, but I'm by myself. So if you had a nurse or something doing part of the work, you could cut that down. But they were operating into the night on her, which is just not safe. She also said that the clinic, everyone there, English was not their primary language, and so that would, cause a language barrier, which also makes outcomes worse. It's one of the things I talk about for medical tourism, where people go to, say, Mexico or Dominica to get plastic surgery. Language barriers definitely are a potential cause of bad outcomes. She met the surgeon literally right before the procedure, said the surgeon was nice, but I met him right before surgery.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag, big red flag. That's a huge, huge red flag. When she woke up, she was in a lot of pain. They sent her home without medication. She got no pain medicine, no antibiotics. And apparently her prescriptions were given to someone else. And because it was done so late, she couldn't get any more prescriptions. So she went days without getting pain medication or antibiotics, which is a huge no-no. Right before she was to leave town, they pulled her drains for her tummy tuck. So it's common or standard to have a drain for tummy tuck. Normally drains can stay in up to 2 or 3 weeks. Well, they pulled hers, I guess, around 7 or 10 days. So she was still draining fluid on the inside. So she had the complication of a seroma, which is a fluid collection. And then that caused more problems where she got this like bad, lump in her abdomen. And so her outcome really wasn't maybe as ideal as she wanted. And so at the very end of it, she was just talking about how, maybe she put herself at some risk here. And she even talked about Jackie O, about her experience and, the thought of, well, did I do something that could have left my family without, a mom or a wife?
Yep.
And it was really sad. Like, I feel really bad for her that she had this experience, because this is definitely not the experience that plastic surgery should be.
No.
When we've talked about
You're supposed to come out feeling better, not...
Yeah, and it's supposed to be safe. I mean, all of the things
it's
that
elective.
Right, yeah, it's elective surgery. If you're going to do something elective, absolutely make it as safe as possible. And so there were so many points in her story where I was just like, man, that's just really not safe or not ideal. And
She should have watched this.
she should be watching the show. I'm going to tag her.
Yeah, you should.
I should tag her. Because, I feel bad for her, and I feel bad for anyone who goes through that experience, because it looks bad on my profession as plastic surgeon. So that's why I'm here saying this is not right.
That you're just like cutting people up. Bye.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, the doctor-patient relationship goes out the window, and it becomes a corporate for-profit, enterprise. And it's not good for patients, and it's not good for our specialty. So, So Ebonie, I really do appreciate you telling everyone your story, and I think it's a good, educational thing for people to know what to watch out for. And so I hate that it happened to you. I hope that you're okay and everything has turned out all right. And do thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. I think that's great. So it protects other people. Her telling her story and us doing what we do. It's all designed to protect people.